Hello everybody and Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us today for our virtual career speaker series. My name is Lindsay Humphreys and I'm the program director for Junior Achievement of New Mexico. Our virtual career speaker series is a program that is open to junior achievement students across New Mexico. And during this program, we highlight business professionals, entrepreneurs, and innovative thinkers from a variety of industries. Each featured speaker will share details about their education, their job, and their career journey. But before we get started, I know we have some new faces, so just our virtual meeting etiquette reminders. As I said, this meeting is recorded, and we post those onto our YouTube channel for anyone who was not able to attend. And then at this time, if you could all use the dialog box on the top right-hand corner, and just post your first and your last name into the chat box. And then if you're an educator and you have students on the call behind you or with you, just let us know how many students are on the call with you. And then during the speaker's presentation, please make sure all of your mics are muted. And if you have questions during the presentation, you can type them into the chat box, or you can just write them down and unmute during the Q&A portion of the event. So we are so excited to start off our spring semester with Mike Silva. He is the founder, co-owner of Rude Boy Cookies and co-founder and owner of Albuquerque Tourism and Sightseeing Factory. This is the first speaker back from the fall semester, and we're so excited to start with Mike. So Mike, I'll share my screen and then the floor is yours.
Okay. All right. So maybe, Lindsay, if you could share the last image first on the logos. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Silva. I am a local entrepreneur. I moved to Albuquerque when I was just the summer before third grade, and I've been here ever since. I'm pretty passionate about this city and its people, and so I've chosen to go into business for myself in large part to allow me to have the time and flexibility to be of service to the city and those most in need. So this is a little bit of who I am. I am the co-founder and owner of Albuquerque Tourism and Sightseeing Factory. We named the business ATSF as a nod to the history of the Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe, the railroad. So that's why we have that kind of railroad looking logo and that ATSF in our name. The short and sweet version of our business is Tour ABQ. We do all things tour related. We operate a 34 passenger trolley. We operate a 14 passenger party bike. We have a walking tour business. We also have a product called ABQ in a Box, which is something that we take our love of Albuquerque and we gather items all locally sourced and we ship them all over the world. We had an unbelievable year this past holiday, 2020, with our ABQ in a Box business, shipping boxes all over the country and to parts of the world, the greater world. Australia, UK, Ireland was some of the destinations. That business started in 2009. In 2014, I started a cookie business called Rude Boy Cookies. I am the founder of that business and I am the co-owner. My business partner there is Kristen Dowling. My business partner with the tour business is Jesse Heron. And the cookie shop's been open since 2014, and we just came off, in spite of this pandemic, the best year we've ever had in the history of the business. And that's in large part to securing the whale. When you go into business for yourself, you're often looking for that whale, that big customer, the one that can help you to knock down a lot of barriers and have revenue and resources for future growth. And we were able to secure that whale in the pandemic, which was a gift. It was, I think, something that is a result of our 6 years of community equity that we earned that piece of business. And so we're very proud of that. And then this past year in 2020, I, along with my friend Charles Ashley III, we started a community group called Albuquerque Against Racism. And with that organization, we were inspired to act and to try to use both myself and his community equity to see what we could do about lifting up Black lives in Albuquerque. So we started the group not with the intent of having an official not-for-profit, but as we started to do the work, we started to actually receive offers to donate to us. And then we started to receive offers to build us websites and offers to donate merchandise and build logos and so on and so forth. So we kind of ended up falling into starting a not-for-profit, and that started in 2020. The official organization began in the summer of 2020. So that's kind of who I am. I'm a business person, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have about 3 other business ideas that I'm working on right now that I'm hoping to launch here in 2021 outside of these existing businesses. And I'm also working with specifically Rude Boy Cookies on growing into a new location. We've outgrown our current spot. We need more space. Good problems to have. So Lindsay, if you can go to that first slide of me as a young guy. So kind of where I'm from, I wanted to maybe just as I talked a little bit, present some photos of myself, maybe in similar ages to some of you that are listening, some of the students. So this is me in the 7th grade. It's a photo, the youngest photo I could find actually. I moved to Albuquerque just before summer of 3rd grade, and the move was a little difficult. My mother basically packed us up in a car while my dad was at work, and we fled. We fled, basically. My dad was going through some pretty hardcore challenges in his life, and he was pretty dysfunctional and destructive. And my mother was afraid for her life as well as ours. So we fled to Albuquerque because it was kind of far enough away from Los Angeles, but also close enough to where we could go back and visit. And my mother had a few connections here, and it was enough to where she felt this was a place that she could reset her life and start a new, fresh life for myself, my 3 siblings. And so that's how we ended up in Albuquerque. Early on, school was very difficult for me. I never had a lack of intellect, but I had a hard time focusing. I had a hard time being the student that I would eventually become because of some of the environment that I was involved in. I had a hard time paying attention to what mattered and was quick to get angry and react. So I spent a lot of time in the principal's office in 3rd grade and in 4th grade. And in 4th grade, I actually was kicked out of my elementary school, which is pretty crazy to think. I was kicked out of my elementary school in 4th grade, and because of my anger issues. And I ended up going to, I was at Lowell Elementary. I was removed from that school and sent to Kirtland Elementary. And I was actually in special ed program for half of 4th grade and all of 5th grade for my anger. I learned a lot during that year and a half in that program. Much of it I didn't recognize in the moment, but as I've grown older and been able to, look at my path, those were some very valuable times that I was building my future life. And I was learning how to deal with these issues, manage my anger, channel that anger. And the channel that I chose was music. At a very young age, before I left California and moved to New Mexico, at a very young age, I was playing an instrument. And by the time I reached 4th grade, I was playing the saxophone. And I was good. I was first chair. My saxophone really mattered to me. It was the most important thing in the world to me. And with my behavior leading up to being expelled from the first elementary school I was in, the saxophone became something that was that it was removed. I was not allowed to play. And I had to earn that privilege back. And once I did, I never wanted it to be removed again. And so music became something that changed my life. It really, truly saved my life. It gave me a purpose. It gave me a drive. It gave me a motivation. And it was the singular focus for me to get through school, to be productive, to manage the other issues that were preventing me from being the best student that I could be. So I just dove straight into that musical part of my life, and I have never stopped, quite frankly. Because of COVID, I am actually spending some of this free time that I have back with music, which I had lost a little bit because of my professional careers. And I've been writing music and working with a friend of mine, collaborating on some music. And it's, for me, it's church-like. It's very healing and spiritual for me. And I'm happy to be back playing music again. Um, I went to middle school and I actually started to thrive a little bit and started to excel musically and earn opportunities through my music, scholarships and uh, opportunities to go away to music camps that I could not afford. But because of my ability and my focus, I was able to get scholarships, and that helped me quite a bit. And then, Lindsay, if you want to go to the next photo, um, this is me in high school, 12th grade. Um, Not quite the same hairdo as I have today, but by the time I was in high school and in 12th grade, I was a little bit of a shy and quiet guy, but I had grown into myself. I had grown into my um, who I was to be as a person. I was confident. I had made tremendous friendships. I met a guy in ninth grade who to this day is still my best friend. He was the best man at my wedding. So we're very close even now. And it was in high school that I really grew into the person that I am today. And through music, I was able to gain that confidence. I was able to see that in any symphony, my role is important, but it's no more important than the person playing the instrument next to me. Because collectively, 150 people playing a piece of music make beautiful music when we do our part, when we play our role, versus having me trying to step outside of the symphony to show off and be the focus. There's a time and place for everything. And musically, in jazz band, I was able to stand up and be the focus and solo and take that opportunity to shine. But I learned more by being involved in something greater than myself. And in musically, that would be in a symphony or in a marching band where there's 150 to 200 people. And my responsibility is to do my part, to play my role. So high school was a very important time for me, and it actually was what drove me into college. There really hadn't been many people in my family that had moved to the next level of education and gone to college. So um, I went to the University of New Mexico, had opportunities to actually leave the state, and I would have been able to attract additional scholarship funds had I left. But I really wanted to stay here. I wanted to be a Lobo. It was something that I was passionate about. So I went to the University of New Mexico with a focus to major in music. And when I arrived at the university, I knew that I was going to continue to be musical and play an instrument for my entire life, but I quickly realized that music was not a degree that I wanted to pursue. So my mother at the time was a law school student at UNM when I was an undergrad at UNM. She unfortunately did not get to go to college traditionally as she was raising kids, but she was able to finally get to the point where she was able to pursue her education. And we were actually at UNM together. So I ended up majoring in political science, thinking that I was going to go to law school like my mother. But the world sometimes throws you curveballs, and I did not go to law school. But I did end up getting my degree in political science with a minor in sociology from the University of New Mexico. And I'm very proud of that. I'm a proud alum of the university. And that degree, although it hasn't really applied directly to what I do now I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in the world of trolleys and cookies. I'm still proud to have that degree from the university. Um, so, Lindsay, you can switch to the next photo. So this is me now, inside my cookie shop, Rude Boy Cookies. Um, I am a proud business owner with a tremendous amount of focus on the community in which we live. And I do take a lot of pride in the equity that my business has built by being of service to Albuquerque. When we started the business in 2014, my business partner, Kristen, and myself sat down to discuss what we wanted out of this business. And obviously, we wanted to provide financial security for ourselves and our families. But we wanted to be a business that was all in on our community. And what can we do as a business to lift up the people in our community that would need our help? So at Rude Boy Cookies, we talk a lot about cookies and community. We have cookies for a cause type events. We are incredibly focused on doing what we can as a business to impact the community in a positive way, often at the cost of myself or my business partner benefiting personally. Because at the end of the day, I know that time will come for me where I will benefit personally from the business to a greater extent than I do. But I feel that now more than ever, we need to be more interested in being of service to those that are in need. And the need now is greater than it's ever been. So Rude Boy Cookies is the business that will land the whale like we did, but then be sure to use some of that to give back at a greater percentage than we had even in the past. So that's something that we always do. We will continue to do, and that is to find ways to give back. Part of anyone's story is kind of how did I get here? How did we get here? And if you switch to the next slide, Lindsay, you'll see this is my wife and my daughter. Been with my wife for 23 years. My daughter is 8 years old. She's in second grade. When you go to your wife with a traditional job, benefits, making good money, and you say, hey, I was having a conversation with my buddy and I think we're going to quit our jobs and go start a trolley business, you need your wife to have your back. And in the heyday of 2007 and 2008, when the financial crisis was upon us, the tour business actually started in theory in 2007, when I went to my wife and said, I think I'm going to quit my job and start a business. And to be expected, she was a little suspect, but she had faith in me and she supported me. And for the first 2 to 3 years of the business, she carried us. I was not making any money, and she had our back, myself and Jesse, my business partner, and she continues to support me. And so in 2014, when I went to her and said, I'm going to start a cookie shop, she said, okay, whatever you need to do, we got this. So she's all in, and I just want to make sure that I always mention the people that helped me get to the place where I am now. So you can go to the next slide. And this is me with my wife and my daughter, who I treasure and adore. My wife and I, very blessed to have our daughter. We've been together for a long time, 23 years, and we were never able to have a child. And then, you know how the world works sometime. Our daughter's 8, and she's a bit of a gift and a bit of a miracle. So we are very proud parents and actively involved in our daughter's life. I am that dad. I'm the dad at every event. COVID, no COVID, I'm that guy. So I'm very proud. I'm happy to be a dad. It's my greatest title. And then the next slide would be the 2 people that helped me get to the point where I could even find my wife, and those are my mentors. And any entrepreneur worth his salt or her salt, in my opinion, it has mentors. On the left there, my left, you can see there's my wife, and then there's my mother. My mother is by far the greatest influence on me. I just talked to her yesterday. She lives in the Virginia area. My mother went to UNM Law School, and then she took the bar and then decided that she didn't want to be a lawyer. And my mother is an unbelievable story. She was the first in her family to go to college. She didn't go to college until I was in college. I'm the oldest son. And by the time she finished, she graduated with a JD, and she has 2 master's degrees at this point, and she just retired from a 30-year career as an educator. She was a teacher. She was a teacher here in Albuquerque before she ended up leaving and going to teach overseas in Japan, in Okinawa. at the American school there on the base. And she was there for the majority of her career. And then when I was about 18 years old, I took a flyer on a all-boys sports camp in Massachusetts in the Berkshires. I wanted to leave New Mexico for a little bit, but never truly leave. I just wanted to get out and see a little. And I went to this summer camp. And when I was there, I met the man you see. His name is Bert Margolis. And where I like to say my mother laid the seeds for who I am, Bert was the one that watered the ground and, in essence, created me. He's the one that gave me the confidence to be someone to walk out front. He's the one that taught me that it is my duty as a leader to stand up for those that need to be stood up for and to lend a hand to those that need a hand. It's not my choice. It's my duty. And I'm never to walk away from those in need. And that it's important to be a good person, and it's okay to be a good person. And who we are in totality matters. And I learned all my ethical principles from these two people you see on the screen today, my mother and Bert Margolis. And in the world of camping in America, Bert Margolis is a bit of a legend. He was known as the Blue Mist because of his aura. The aura around him was just incredible. And he taught all of us in an all-boys setting the importance of respect for women, the importance of standing up to the bully. He was ahead of his time, and he forever changed my life. And so I'm very grateful for him, and obviously for my mother, for the roles they played in establishing and nurturing me to get to this point today. I will say that, the precursor to my entrepreneurship was something that occurred, which, wouldn't necessarily make one think that their next step is entrepreneurship, because I had never even gave that a consideration. But I was fired from a job, and I was fired from that job, and I had to make a decision in that moment because I felt that it was unjust. And I made a decision that I was never going to work for anybody again, that I was never going to allow myself to be treated the way that I was treated. I was humiliated. I was forced to take a box and pack my stuff and leave the office in the middle of the day in front of all my friends and associates, and it was humiliating. But it was at this job where I met Jesse, my business partner for the tourism business. So there's value in that job. And it also taught me that when I would start my own businesses, I would treat my people in a way that I was not treated in this particular situation. So there was a learning opportunity there, and I take every opportunity as a win. So it was from the lessons I learned from Bert Margolis and my mother. Her name is actually Martha Washington. That's her real name. That I carry with me today. So whenever I face moments of conflict, or I face moments of, who am I as a person in these moments, I think of these two people you see on your screen, and they guide me. I pay respects to them both daily. My mother is still alive, living in the Virginia area. Bert Margolis no longer with us. But they shaped me and sculpted me into the person I am today. And it's with their support, kind of their wind beneath my wings, that I had the confidence to take that negative and turn it into something positive by going into business for myself. And now, at this point in my life, if I should ever lose one of my businesses, they close, they go bankrupt, we're a failure, for me, the next step is not to go get a job. For me, the next step is to go build another business, because that's who I am and what I will always be. And I'm proud that before COVID, I employed 30 plus people. And I'm proud that my people appreciate their jobs and are treated well. And I'm proud that we pay higher than what we should because we want to take care of our people. And the culture at my companies, it's a positive environment. When I have to let someone go, I don't have a problem with doing that, but I do it with kindness and grace, so that when they leave me, they know that this is potentially an opportunity for them to take it as a win and learn from it and move forward. And there's no victory in me humiliating anyone in that situation, because I was there and I was humiliated, and I swore I would never do it again. So that's kind of me. Um, I don't think I have anything else to add. I'm happy to answer any questions. Lindsay, is that everything?
That was perfect. Thank
Okay.
you so much. We're going to open it up to questions. We do have quite a few questions that were asked during the registration process. And so I'll just start us off. And then anybody who's interested in asking questions, you can type them into the chat box, or I can have you unmute here in a second. So, question number one, for students and families that are low income, how would you get funding to start a business?
So that is a question I get asked all the time. So I was a entrepreneur with no funding, right? So in 2007, when we were trying to launch the tourism business, we built a very nice and glossy business plan, 30 pages of graphs and charts and all the stuff you learned in college to do. And we went to every bank in the city and nobody would loan us money. We were young, we were new to the industry. It was a bit of a financial crisis in America at the time. We were not able to get money. So the tourism business was built on the backs of people who supported me, Mike Silva. So when I say who you are in totality matters, this is a prime example. Because I carry myself in such a way, because I am respectful, because I have an ethical way about my life and how I interact with people, I was able to build enough equity amongst those who knew me that we were able to fund the tourism business with friends and family, which I know is not something that everyone is able to do. But I always encourage people who are thinking about starting a business to start there first, because we ended up using that as a positive. We didn't have a bank note that we had to answer to every month. So getting rejected by the banks was a bit of a blessing. At the end of the day, if we were late on a payment, you know, our parents or our uncles or our aunts or whoever helped us weren't coming to us to repossess our trolley, right? So we were able to use how we lived and how we carried ourselves. People trusted me. People trusted Jesse. So they were interested in helping us chase our dream. And so that's how we got the business off the ground. I would ask to always look at your inner circle, look at your network, and you will find there's people willing to help you if you've lived your life in a way in which you've earned that equity, that respect. The first 2 years of the tourism business, my lawyer, the lawyer for the business, was a college friend who did that work for free to help me. The first few years of the tourism business, my bookkeeper slash CPA was a college friend who did that work for free to help us get off the ground. So think about how you deal with people, how you treat people all the time, not just when the lights are on, not just when people are watching, but all the time, because it's these moments when you go to a bank to get money to start your business and get rejected that maybe it comes back into play in your favor, or you might be able to use your network to help you launch your business.
Thank you. A question in the chat from one of Linda Wilson's students. How did your political science degree and knowledge factor into starting your business and having the skills to run a business?
Well, like I said, I went to UNM and ended up graduating with a degree in political science. The goal then was to become a lawyer and maybe a senator. That was the plan. So I think what I learned from just attending college and graduating was that I could achieve something, that I could set a goal and I could complete it. That gave me the confidence when it came time to make this jump to being an entrepreneur, that I could achieve something that I set my mind to. College for me was actually a bit challenging. I had some challenges. I actually had to take a semester off of college, my own choice, because I knew that I was not giving it my best effort. I was fascinated by the freedom. I was in love with I could get up when I wanted to get up. Nobody was telling me to wake up. Even though I went to UNM, I lived in the dorms just so I could be on my own. And, I got caught up in some of that stuff. Now, I'm what's called straight edge. In the world of music in which I live, I am particularly a fan of ska music and reggae music. The reason my cookie shop is called Rude Boy Cookies is because of my love of ska music. Fans of ska music are called rude boys. Rude boy is a style. It's a bit of a lifestyle. It's, you know, it's we can go on, I could end up talking to you about that all day, but Google it and you'll find out. So I'm a 52-year-old rude boy at this point in my life. But I was so interested in, you know, what college had to offer that even though I'm a straight edge rude boy, I don't do drugs, never have. I don't drink alcohol, never have. I don't smoke cigarettes, never have. When you grew up around the environment I did, around my dad and some uncles and grandparents and stuff, you're either going to do what they do or you're going to go as far away from that as you can. And that was what I chose. So I was as straight edge as they come, and yet I still partied all day and all night in college because I just enjoyed that freedom. So I had some challenges. I had to recommit myself. I took a semester off. And then once I returned to college, I actually excelled. I excelled and did very well in school. So the degree that I earned was more about being able to accomplish a goal and not specifically having political science relate to tourism and bakery.
Excellent, thank you. A student named Amaya, a fifth grade student, wants to know, is your current job difficult?
Amaya, it is difficult, but I enjoy it and I can't envision doing anything else. I am responsible for, marketing my business. I'm responsible for taking care of my payroll. I'm responsible for my taxes, state and federal. I'm responsible for relationships with vendors, making sure my employees are comfortable and safe. And when you add in COVID, that adds a whole nother layer of how to operate a business, where before we had a cookie shop, for example, that you could walk in and get a cookie or get an ice cream sandwich or get a milkshake. That's not the case anymore. Now we do all of our customer engagement through a walk-up window, and we also do the majority of our sales online. So you're consistently moving, re-engineering, finding out what's going to be your next move. You are going to make moves that will fail. You can't let that stop you. You have to chalk it up to a failure, learn from it, and continue to move forward. So being an entrepreneur is difficult. It's not for the faint at heart. You have to be willing to take some lumps. You have to be willing to have a little egg on your face, but then you have to be willing to stand back up. You can never, if you don't have the fortitude to try, and then if you fail, try again, then it may not be something that you should consider doing. But if you do have that courage, it's okay to fail. In fact, you hear it, it's a cliche, but some of your greatest lessons learned are in failures. And so then you move forward with those lessons and you seek out people smarter than you. I talk about this a lot. My greatest strength is my circle. Like, my superpower is the people that I know. And I have always used that circle. If I have a question about something in business, there's 20 people I can call and ask because I don't think I know everything. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. And as soon as I'm the smartest guy in my circle, then I need to find a new circle, right? So I always try to make sure to diversify the people that I associate with. And to me, one of the greatest strengths you can have as a business owner is the circle you keep. The people that you keep close to you are very important. You have to be mindful of who's in that circle. Are they motivating you? Are they challenging you? Are they inspiring you? If so, then that's a good circle. And you use that circle. I get calls from friends asking me advice and want to talk about something, and then I can do the same. So some of the people that have spoken to you all before are people that I rely on quite a bit and that I can call and ask for suggestions or advice. And I encourage you, as you build your businesses, if you do go down this road, to make sure you have a circle of people that you can toss ideas off of. And you have to be willing to accept some rejection and some difference of opinions.
That's excellent advice. I'm going to give anybody a chance to unmute if you would like to unmute and ask a question. Otherwise, we'll keep going through the chat box. All righty. Okay, so another question in the chat box, and I just want to, this will probably be one of the last questions just because we want to be respectful of everyone's time. So what was the major hurdle that you had to overcome when starting your business? This is from Janie, a 5th grade student. Janae.
What was the major hurdle?
Yes.
The major hurdle when we were starting the tourism business was finances. That was the hurdle. Trying to secure funds to get the business off the ground. 1A was all the regulatory things that we had to answer to. Because in the world of tourism, we were a 34-passenger trolley looking to operate as a tour business. And when you are putting other people into your responsibility by carrying them on your trolley in your vehicle, there's a significant amount of federal guidelines that you have to answer to and state. And so it took about a year for us to get our approval from the state of New Mexico's PRC to operate in New Mexico. We had to check many boxes to get our approval by the federal government to transport people. So that was something that we weren't aware of when we decided to start the business, but we quickly learned, and that was very cumbersome. The state nor the feds do not move at your pace. They move at their pace. And so you have to be incredibly patient. We had to eventually go to Santa Fe to a hearing in order to get our business approved, because initially they didn't quite understand, because in New Mexico, surprisingly enough, there was nobody doing trolley tours in 2009, 2008. So it was something unusual. They initially had our business with the state of New Mexico licensed under passenger bus, like a school bus, because it was just so unknown. So there's a lot of things that came into play with our business because it was so unique, but we persevered. It's like, nevertheless, we persisted, and I'm so proud of us for that, quite frankly. It's the best thing we ever did, myself and Jesse. It was finances, and then it was a lot of the regulatory things that we had to answer to.
A question from Miss Lothar Caesar in 5th grade. Do you sell stock in your business?
Not yet. Someday. I'll call you when we do. You can buy some.
And so we'll wrap it up with a lighthearted question. What is the funniest interaction you've had with a customer?
Okay. Let's see. Probably the tour business. We started in 2009, and the first few tours that we did, we pulled into Old Town in our trolley. I would be driving the trolley. My business partner, Jesse, would be prepared to do the tour. And then the next tour, we would switch. So we were both able to drive, and we were both able to give the tour. And for the first week or two of the business, we'd pull into Old Town, and there wasn't a soul there. We would end up leaving Old Town with nobody on the trolley, and we were like, man, we messed up. We're going to be living on this trolley down by the river because we blew it. Nobody wants to take tours with us. But we kept going and kept going. And by the end of that first year, we had a customer that came. It was him and his girlfriend, and they were from St. Louis, I believe. And then the next year, we were back at it again, and this guy and his girlfriend were back in New Mexico and back on our trolley. And so for the first, I think, 6 years of the business, this man and his girlfriend, now wife, came to Albuquerque because they love New Mexico, and they always made a point to come and take our tour. And they would never tell us in advance. They wouldn't reach out or call or anything, and they would just show up. And those interactions with them were funny in a way that it was just, happy laughter, great to see them again. They got to grow with us. We got to grow with them. They were now married. And it was just a really fun interaction that we had with that couple. I think that's what sticks out the most.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we're going to wrap up. So students and teachers and parents, thank you so much for joining today's program. Before we log off, just a few announcements. Following the presentation, you will be able to fill out a post-program mindset survey. And by completing the survey, you'll get entered into a drawing to win a chance to win a Dion's gift card. And Dion's, who has graciously partnered with us to provide survey respondents a gift card, a huge thank you to them. And teachers, make sure that you send the link to your students if you are facilitating for them and we don't see them on the call. And then lastly, please join us next week on January 27th at 1 p.m. And we will be welcoming Rachel Sams, Editor-in-Chief for Albuquerque Business Magazine. And so thank you so much, everyone, for jumping back in. Just so everyone knows, we will be doing these every week at Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you for your wisdom and your advice. And it's always a pleasure.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.